Good morning, everyone. Today, in our children's group, we are going to be looking at the story of Samson. Now, he was a really strong man, and his special strength was given to him as a gift by God. So, shall we watch our Lego story of Samson? Let's begin.
Once upon a time there was a lady who was the wife of Manoah and could not have a baby. An angel visited the lady and told her that she was going to have a baby. She was very excited. The angel disappeared, so she hurried to tell her husband the good news. When she saw her husband, she told him about seeing the angel and what good news he had promised her. Manoah sat down, and he prayed to God that the angel of God would return so he could ask him some questions. God granted his prayer, and when his wife was in the field one day, the angel of God reappeared. She called her husband, who came at once. He asked what they should do to prepare for the birth of their child. The angel said, "You must not drink any wine or beer. You must not eat food which is not kosher, like bacon." Their son was going to be a Nazarite, so he must never cut his hair. A while later, Manoah and his wife welcomed their son into the world. They called him Samson. As he grew, so did his hair. They remembered that Samson must not drink wine and that he must not cut his hair. God gave Samson a gift of extra strength. He showed his strength daily. He even killed a lion with his bare hands as if it were a small goat. Now Samson had his faults, and he fell in love with a Philistine lady called Delilah. The Philistines did not like Samson because he'd done some bad things, including killing 1,000 Philistines with a bone. They wanted to capture him, so they went to Delilah and tried to persuade her to find out what the reason was for his amazing strength. Delilah asked Samson where he got his strength from, but he told her lies at first. He should have realized that she was not asking for a good reason and wanted to use it against him. Eventually one day he told her the truth. He had never had his hair cut, as he was a Nazarite. If his hair was cut, his strength would leave him. Delilah was excited as she realized that he had finally told her the truth. She called the Philistines one more time and excitedly told them to secretly meet her with the money they had promised. When they arrived, she told them about Samson's hair. In return, they gave her the money. Later that day, Delilah persuaded Samson to take a nap on her lap. When he had fallen asleep, she called for the Philistines who were waiting nearby. They came, and while he slept, they cut off his hair. Then Delilah called out to Samson, "The Philistines are here! The Philistines are here!" Samson sat up thinking that he would be able to fight them off like he had before, but he realized that his strength had left him. The Philistines were proud and took Samson away to jail. Samson was sad as he had lost his gift of strength that God had given him.
That's quite an exciting story, isn't it? Could you imagine if you had the strength of Samson so you could attack your lion and you could go pew, 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 and your lion would die? How amazing is that? Samson was really lucky because he'd been given a very special gift, the gift of strength by his God. That's really fun, isn't it? Now I wonder, in this story, when Manoah's wife was told by the angel that she was going to have a baby, did it remind you of anybody else in the Bible? Do you know, it reminded me of the story of both Elizabeth and Mary, that they both got visited, didn't they? And Mary, who is she the mother of? She is the mother of Jesus. I think it's really exciting. Now, the really sad thing about this story is that Samson, he was really boastful. He was really proud of the fact that he was so strong. Do you know, it says in James 4:6, God gives strength to the humble, but sets himself against the proud. Now I wonder if you know what that means. Do you know, it actually just means someone who's forgotten that their gift has come from God. And Samson, his gift of strength had come from God. And when you forget that your gift has come from God, you are trying to do something in your own ability and forgetting that you need to rely on God for all your needs. Now I wonder, do you think you have a gift? That special something that God has given you? Maybe you've learned how to ride a bike. Maybe you're really great in the kitchen and you're really learning how to be a great cook. Maybe you like playing football and you've realised that your ball skills are getting really, really good. Let's all remember that those gifts that God gives us help us to be the person that we are. And we need to remember to thank Him for them and to be very humble about our gifts. Shall we say a prayer to God to thank Him for our gifts? Close your eyes if you'd like to. Dear God, thank you so much that you give us good gifts. Thank you that you give us these gifts so that we can help other people. Help us to be a blessing to those people around us, and thank you for the gifts that you give us. Amen. Do you know, it's really great that God gives us so many gifts that we can use to have fun in life, to maybe start a job. Could you imagine as you're growing up thinking, oh, I wonder what I'm going to do when I'm older? And the older you get, you start to think about the different things that you're good at. Maybe it's maths, maybe it's English, and you wonder, what is it that God has planned for your life? I love it that it says in the Bible that God has a plan for each one of us. How exciting is that? And we can rely on Him to show us the way. Now, in the story with Samson, do you know, that wasn't the end of the story. When Samson was taken off by the Philistines, and he was really, really sad because he'd forgotten that his strength had come from God, and so it left him when his hair was cut. God had grace. Shall we look at the Lego final part of his story? Let's have a look.
After the Philistines took Samson, they took his eyes out and threw him in jail. They had a party to celebrate that they had finally caught him. Then they wanted to make fun of him, and he was made to stand between two pillars in the temple holding up the roof. Samson was sorry for what he had done, and he prayed to God and asked him to give him strength one more time. He leant against the pillars, and God gave him his strength. The temple came crashing down on him and all the Philistines who had been mean.
I really like the ending of the story of Samson because what it actually shows us is that even though we might make a mistake, like Samson, that he was really proud of his gift and he'd forgotten where his gift had come from, when he said sorry to God and he prayed and he asked God to give him one more chance to have some supernatural strength, God had grace on him and He gave him that strength. And what did Samson do? Samson pushed really hard against those pillars and they came tumbling down. And all of the roof, did you see how it all collapsed on the Philistines that had been really, really mean and been so boastful and proud about the fact that they'd caught Samson? It was really good that God was in it all. I wonder if this week you can have a think about the gifts that God has given you and how you might be able to use it to help someone else. Have fun today.